So I'm here today with Lisa, who has been one of my clients for the past 6 months, and she's got some awesome results. We're going to have a little chat about her kind of sustain experience. So Lisa, what progress have you made, first question, under the sustain plan?
Yeah, so I've been with Sustain for 6 months, and I've lost just over 2 stone. So quite a sustained, excuse the pun, loss, kind of around £1 a month, £1 a week, sorry. So I've been really happy. I've probably lost around 23 inches overall, and I can sense and feel it more in my kind of waist and hips. So I'm a typical pear shape. And kind of 6 inches off my waist and 5.5, around 5.5, 6 off my hips. So kind of, to me, that's huge, because I can get back into things I haven't worn in probably about 2 years, to be honest. So yeah, that's my progress. Mentally, I think I'm in a very different place about being organised and thinking about why am I eating what I'm eating, and you're in my head. I've got a Joe voice in my head daily, so yeah, that's kind of
what a sinister thought, or horrible mental image of me knocking around, yelling in your ears. No, not great.
It works. So I'm happy for you to be in there.
Clearly. So how were you feeling before sustain? What was the situation 6 months ago?
So 6 months ago, I'd been on holiday. I'd been on a cruise. Distant past now, holidays and cruises, where we are at the moment. And with cruises, everyone puts on weight on cruises. I lost £1.50 on a cruise, and it made me realise how crap I'd been eating before. So I was eating 3-course meals every evening on this cruise, and I still lost £1.50. So it made me realise, what am I doing? Because I know I was eating big bags of crisps and packets of biscuits for my dinner, and not cooking. I was annoyed with myself because I'd been on sustain 2 years ago and done really, really well over 3 months, but I didn't keep the kind of essence of sustain in my head afterwards. So I felt sluggish. I would say I was the heaviest I've ever been. Probably not the biggest, because I was still exercising. But I was the heaviest I'd ever been, and I was just so annoyed with myself because of doing sustain previously, and then not carrying on with that. James was my coach before. He clearly wasn't in my head after the 3 months. so I think that to me was where I was 6 months ago. Not a great place.
Yeah, we were just discussing just before I started the call about how you felt like you'd learned. You've done sustain, you kind of fell off, and then you brought some of the knowledge there going forward. So what do you think? You said that you had a couple of points you wanted to mention on that.
Yeah, so I think it's, to me, so my 6 months finished on Sunday. We're only on Thursday, and I've been writing everything down, and I've been scoring myself, and even without not sending you my diaries, I've not had a 10 out of 10. Because I'm not sending it to you, or that the accountability isn't there. And I think that after my last sustain kind of progress, I think that's what it is. So the combat plan, or the Corona combat plan, or the just the normal monthly the monthly plan, to me, £25 a month to kind of have a monthly touch point with you guys for the rest of my life, if I have to keep me on plan, to me is an investment, because I'd spend more than £25 on junk food a month. So it's about how you spend your money and what you want to do. So that's that was my real takeaway just in the last 4 days, and reflecting back on sustain 2 years ago, where I went wrong, because for 2 years maybe 12 months I didn't stop eating crap food.
Yeah, I think, and obviously that's going to depend on the individual. And I think a lot of people are afraid of the idea that they need a coach kind of longer term. And in my experience, that's probably the majority of people that need that touch point. And that was what led to us creating the Corona plan, was because £25, £6 a week is a very manageable, it's less than £1 a day. It's a very manageable sum that can then keep people, I've had clients lose huge amounts and regain it. And you think, would you have paid £300 a year to have kept that off?
Yeah. And
surely that's an investment.
And I think, and if you look at it as well, another thing I've been reflecting again on it, and something I thought is that it just came to me this morning. I'm like, you pay for a gym membership to build up your muscles, to get fitter. You're paying £25 a month to train your brain, and if you stop training something, then you lose it. Like if you stop lifting, you're going to lose muscle mass. If you stop training your brain on nutrition, then you're going to lose it. It's going to go away. So that's kind of how I've been very insightful and reflective these last 4 days, but that's kind of how I've looked at it. And I was like, well, do I want to pay £25 a month to send food to someone, for them to tell me what I know I should be doing? But yeah, I probably do, because I know I should be doing it, but I don't do it unless someone's watching.
So why do you think accountability works then? What's the difference between being accountable and not for you?
It makes me do it. It makes me do it. Like if I'm not being accountable kind of to you, then you go away. Your voice isn't in my head when I go and pick up a massive bag of crisps and think, why am I doing that? It's making you question what you're eating or why you're making that choice. And I think something over the last kind of month more so, I think you've said to me around, do you need like a full bar of chocolate, or can you just have 2 squares? Do you need 5 or 4 hot cross buns, or can you just have 1 a day? I didn't have 4, I only have had in a day. So yeah, and I think it's about the wording that you use about the pleasure you get from your treat. You don't need like loads of it, you just need a little bit of it, and that isn't going to then take you off track. And that's kind of think the accountability of your coaching and the accountability of writing it down and making you question why you're having it, I think really works.
Cool. Yeah, there's that certain irony, isn't there, that you have 1 hot cross bun, it makes you happy. You have 2, it makes you twice as happy, and actually you feel worse, is you can feel better by having less. And I think that is if you look at culture and marketing and human nature, like more is more. Let's have more, and it's just having that reminder that it's not the case.
Definitely. No, I totally agree. You know what you're talking about, so we have to listen to you.
It's nice to hear. That's obviously why it works so well for you. So yeah. You mentioned that you'd worked this before and then kind of had a period of going on your own. What are the barriers that stopped you kind of coming back to sustain sooner, do you think? Or even in the first place, what stopped you signing up?
I think coming back, I think it was just about, I was a bit lazy, and I think I've said it before, it's why should I have to come back to you to pay you to tell me what I already know? I know that I'm meant to be eating protein every meal to keep me full. I know that I'm meant to be eating fruit and veg. I know that I'm not meant to be eating crisps, chocolate, bread, biscuits, all that kind of stuff. I know that, so why can't I do it myself? But I can't. For some reason, I just can't. So it's like I can't run, but if somebody told me, like a trainer took me out for a run, I would do it because they were running next to me. So I would do it because they're telling me to. And I think that's just it. I work better with people telling me what to do, I think.
Yeah. I think, have you done the personality quiz? I don't know if we've discussed this actually. Do you ever remember doing that?
No.
It's part of one of the things I send out at the very start, just as one of the general emails, but it's that you have 4 personality types, and you've got internal and external motivation. And some people work with neither, some people work with both, and some people work with one or the other. And you're what you describe as an obliger, so that they work under external accountability. Is you can have all the knowledge, but it's that external pressure that makes obligers act. And it's as clear as day when I see it. I have a lot of my clients. You have a lot of women, a lot of mothers who will do anything for their children because that's what they are. That's the kind of people that they are, and they struggle to then do things for themselves. And it's just, when accountability works, it does work. And it's quite, as I read the question of why do you think it works, I was thinking she might not know, but it does, and it's just having that thing of the awareness that that's what you need to be successful.
And I think it's the same as you saying that rings bells from a work perspective as well, because when I'm under pressure or I've got someone say you need to do this, I'll do it for them. If somebody asks me to do something, I'll do it. But I think that rings very true. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's the biggest group of the 4. And then one of the other groups, is where it's both internal and external. So it just shows how it is massive that people just tend to work better for other people rather than themselves, which is slightly convoluted, but it's quite a nice way to be too, I guess.
Yeah.
So what do you think Sustain has taught you then? I mean, you mentioned, it's interesting because it's almost like this is the lesser part of the situation. It's not a case about the education, but what do you think Sustain has taught you?
Well, it's taught me that you don't have to be 100% on it all the time. So over the years, through kind of personal training and fat loss programs and all that kind of thing, I think I felt that you have to be 100% on it. So you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have the other. So you limit yourself and you restrict yourself. And when you do that, you just think, "Ah, sod it, I'm going to have that and I don't care." And then it goes into another day and another day. So I think this time round, I think it's potentially the kind of 10 points are slightly different to 2 years around. I think you've adapted, become more fluid and a little bit more flexible, and you're not so strict at saying, "Oh, why did you have that? You shouldn't be eating that." Yeah. And there's none of that. It's, why have you eaten it? Of course, I'm not going to get annoyed with you if you've eaten it. You just need to understand why, and could you have only eaten half? So to me, it's, what I've learned now is you don't have to be 100% on it all the time. You can have a 6 out of 10 every day for a week, but you do that and you realise you've done it, but get on with it and pick yourself up and carry on. And I've learned about informed choices. So why are you having it? Do you really need it? And plan. So I know maybe on Friday night I'm going to go out for a drink. So I know actually through that day I don't want to lose more than 1 point. So I'll eat and everything properly, do everything, and then I'll have 10 gins if I want. Because I haven't stopped. It's not something I've stopped. And make maybe better choices in drinks. So at the beginning, I was having a lot of cocktails, and you were like, "Do you really need all those cocktails?" No, okay, I'll swap them for gin and tonic then, because the calorie is better. So it's about making the right choice. If you are going to go off plan in the right way, I think.
Yeah, it's the things that really mean it to you, aren't they? And I'm pretty sure it was you I spoke to, and I said, "You eat out more than anyone else I coach." And it's so nice to see that when your diaries come in and it's just this flawless day until a meal out, and then you have a meal out, and the next day is the same. Like, say we're looking at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you've hit 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, but you haven't been massively restricted. It's just not a free for all either. And I think you mentioned before that kind of all or nothing, like it doesn't have to be a free for all. And you're like a perfect example of still living your life, losing over 2 stone in 6 months, but just not being ridiculous about it. It's fine if people want to take that route, but you've just done a lovely job of treading the line. And I think that maybe, we mentioned this before I started the call, is that's what you learn from going away and coming back, is that you learn, okay, well, I was too strict and now I've been too relaxed, and now second time round I need to tread that line, and you've done a really good job of that.
And it's that balance, and I think it's just making sure you do the right thing for you. You've still got to live, you've still got to carry on, and I think that is something that I have learned and will continue. I think I've learned a lot more, and I know you kind of do the 3 months. So when I first started, I thought, oh, it's a 3-month plan, and then that's it, and off you go. But now, like we've talked about, it doesn't have to be 3 months. It can be 6 months. It can be 12 months. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And one thing in terms of in my initial mindset coming back was, before I did it for my 40th birthday, and I wanted to be fab at 40, because don't we all? And I did it. And I got to my 40th birthday, I was like, yeah, great. Had my party, felt great in my dress. And then that was that. I'd done it. I'd got to that end goal. Whereas this time, I haven't got an end goal. It's just about changing my habits and changing my lifestyle. So I think that in my head as well, do it for yourself. Don't do it for a reason, would be my kind of takeaway from kind of why I've come back. I haven't got, none of us have got a holiday to go on. So I haven't got on, haven't got any parties, weddings may or may not be happening for my friends, so I haven't got any kind of event to work towards. It's just me and myself, and I'm doing it for me.
Awesome. Okay, last one then. I've got an extra one. what one bit of advice would you give to people who are kind of struggling to lose weight at the moment? What's your top tip which worked for you?
Top tip that works for me: join Sustain.
After
No,
that, I didn't mean that. Try again.
no, I know, and you didn't tell me to say that, but I do think, even if you think you can do it on your own and you've done it before, if you're struggling, join something, get a coach, do something, but be realistic. If you can't join or afford to pay, then just be realistic with yourself. You're not going to lose half a stone in a week. If you lose £1 and then lose £3 and then lose £1, then don't lose anything. It's fine. Look at it as a longer kind of look over the month rather than week by week. You've got to be realistic, and if you're not realistic, that's when you get pissed off, and that's when you stop.
Awesome. I think it's so nice speaking to the people who've had, I've got another call soon with a lady who's lost a similar amount to you in a similar time frame. And it's £1 a week. It just doesn't sound like very much, but it's just the same as anything, is that if it accumulates and you do it every week, it makes a massive difference. So.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, and that's what I did start doing. I started looking back over when I had like £0.5 loss. I was like, oof, and I knew why, because I hadn't had the best week. But then I'd look back over and average it out. So in lockdown, I've done amazing. I did £3, £1, £3, but that's because junk food isn't essential, and I'm not going out for dinner and drinking loads. So it's getting that average. I think you've got to be realistic.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'll stop there.